Welcome to Veronica Live, and we are here with Jason Sheppard. He's the founder of Wimkin social media, and then this new incredible fentanyl dip test that he's come up with. And then I learned too, he's got another site called Date on the Right. So I checked that out. I mean, I'm happily married for 31 years, but I know a lot of single women that need this dating app. So welcome, Jason, to Veronica Live.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
So tell us, I signed up. I always get my guests last minute. So I tried to sign up for Wimkin, and it said that I'm being vetted still, I guess. And so I couldn't poke around on the site, but I did poke around on your Dating Right site since, I know a lot of young single gals, and that was just so exciting. So talk about Wimkin and then your dating site.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. By the way, yes, we do approve every new user manually because we don't want to be Facebook. We don't want to be X where, you have, honestly, I have more spam messages and
oh my gosh,
truly sex bots than I have.
Yes.
Tweets. This is no joke. So
that has been my complaint to Elon.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because, I don't trust Elon Musk at all in any way, shape, or form, and that's probably a conversation for another day. But, when he says he eradicated all the bots and it was over 50% bots before him, no, not even close. And I still can't get my 700,000 follower account back due to the fact that I was talking about truths about vaccines, which are now proven true.
Okay.
And I also got banned again when I tried to advertise for Wimkin. And tried to pay them $1,500. They didn't want that, so it's just wild. But I'm sorry, not to go off on a tangent there, but yeah, Wimkin. So just a quick little background on myself. I was working in healthcare IT, and in September of 2019, my essentially my unit of the second largest health insurance company, as well as the second largest health network that I was working at. We were tasked with setting up 130,000 tests for 2,300 primary care physicians, not knowing what this test was for. And, that was what we had to do. We had to set up testing protocols with each doctor's office so they could report them to, obviously, the health insurance company. And also, we had to set up protocols where they could report the results directly to the county health department. So I would imagine you guys know I'm getting, to COVID here in terms of what they were doing for us.
I remembered all of those things.
Yes, and this was, again, we found out about this project and were tasked with this project in September of 2019, 4 months before really anybody in the United States knew about it. So I automatically, once that happened, I went to my superiors and I said, what are you doing? This is not okay. We are literally fear-mongering. We're adding to it. And then to finally get me to leave, obviously, is the way I work. I give if I'm in your office, I'm giving you my business card with my cell phone. And I was in the offices of these physicians setting up their entire IT systems. So instead of them calling the 800 number, they called me. And I had about, in the first 2 days once we went live with this project, I had over, I think it was about 9 to 15 physicians call me and say, we refuse to give these tests. And, of course, my question was why. And he said, you are not testing for this new strain. You were testing for any coronavirus, meaning that 99% of them are coming back positive. And because, all of us generally have at least one in our body that we're asymptomatic for at all times. So that was it. I said, I'm done. I started a platform to tell the truth about this whole situation called World Must Know. And it grew so fast because we had the world's most comprehensive timeline to where we were putting almost every single country's and every state, obviously, in the United States, provinces in Canada. We were putting every single news aspect that was happening that day and what these governments were doing on the state level and obviously on their country levels as well into this timeline. So, we had maybe 700-800 entries a day that was, telling the world what was going on. And then we were also telling, well, thank you. And we were also telling, our stories about what was going on. And we were letting people submit stories to us. But then we got to the point where we were getting, over 40,000 unique visitors a day. And they wanted to contribute. They wanted to tell their stories about how they couldn't see their loved ones and they passed in a nursing home.
That's terrible.
And, the funeral aspects where they couldn't even go to that. And then what the kicker really was for them, they wanted to scream about was their loved ones being, yes, they were COVID positive, but the car accident killed them, not COVID, things of that nature. So that's how we started Wimkin. Wimkin stands for World Must Know Now, in honor of free speech. It's WMKN, of course, those letters.
Okay.
And the FCC, though, they wouldn't allow us to use those letters because they're call letters. So it's Wimkin, which is W-I-M as in Mary, K-I-N as in Nancy. It's just how it sounds. So that's how that got started. And let me tell you, Veronica, it was honestly an incredible situation. We started out, being top 10 in the App Store. We got to number 1 all the time. And then when the alleged insurrection happened, we were banned immediately. We had... banned by both Apple and Google Play, completely deplatformed by Apple, where you couldn't even use the app. We were banned for a total of 9 memes and 9 posts that both app stores took offense to. So 5 on Google Play and 4 on Apple. That is what we were banned for. And it was absolutely insane. We even showed proof where the Anti-Defamation League was on Twitter at that point in time, and they were saying, go to the App Store, download Wimkin, post stuff that goes against the App Store, screenshot it, and send it to the App Store to get us banned. So, these things, it was a whole complete hit piece. And then, we fought for 8 months. We did win our appeal and got back into the App Stores. But as soon as that happened, the House Select Committee on J6 comes in and tries to shut us down, asking for every single piece of information on every single user.
Of course they did. Of course they did.
And we did not cooperate. And also, if anybody wants to see these actual documents in our site, I put them up. I put them up on my personal website. It's JC Sheppard, SHE2Ps, it's in Paul, ARD.com. You can see everything there, including the actual demands that the House Select Committee sent to us, signed by Benny Thompson himself. So that's how that got started. And then obviously through this, we've started other platforms in terms of, keeping children safe. Now we want to, obviously we talked about, you brought up the dating app, which we want to gear towards conservatives because, you said you have some young females that are looking for, probably alpha males, or at least
I'm looking for them. I'm looking for them, Jason. So yes, they're all like 23 to 28, and they're all successful women.
Well, in this day and age, an alpha male is just somebody who identifies as a cis male, I guess. So that's
and I didn't know what a cisgender female was when I was applying for this job. My daughter had to translate. I was like, what the hell? There was 10 things on there, and then I got to 2 spirits, and I go, obviously, I cannot be the director of any communication company for a company that has 2 spirits on it because I didn't know what it was.
That is.
Well, I refused to look it up because I'm like, I'm not going down this road. So
yeah, well, that's the thing, and we wanted to honestly gear towards conservatives and especially young conservatives.
Yeah,
because,
that's wonderful.
Case in point, well, what you're seeing right now in the world, first and foremost, is on these college campuses, it's very dangerous to even be known as a conservative now.
Oh,
it
my
really
gosh.
is.
It's so true.
So that was one of the aspects. But truly, my idea behind this was the absolute mass division that is set between liberals and conservatives. So it's my opinion, and I think I'm actually quite accurate on it. If you have not been in a relationship for 10 to 15 years with a person that was a liberal prior and is a liberal now, and you are a conservative prior and still are now, you're not going to make it. There's no way that you can meet as a liberal and a conservative right now. I'm sure maybe 5% can work that out of the people that meet, but there's just too much division. You literally have families divided by their use
so many.
or non-use.
They're not even talking, Jason.
Yeah, over if you like Trump or don't like Trump, that's gonna divide right down the middle. And then obviously if you use a mask or you didn't use a mask, that's another one. Obviously the vaccine, another one. So everything is set up to divide us. We wanted to bring something together for people that actually have common sense, don't know, they only know 2 genders as set by God, male and female, and their sexual preferences, there's not 75 of them, and they don't identify as a cat and all these other things. So we don't allow those type of pronouns. We don't allow anything. It's
oh my gosh, I love you. Can you be my future son-in-law?
Sure.
My gosh.
I probably can.
So Jason, tell
yeah,
me, because you
sure.
went to UPenn, and so are you from the Northeast? I mean, how did you end up being such a conservative? I've got to ask you that, of course, as my future son-in-law.
Well, so actually, I'm in Pittsburgh, and that's where all of our companies are headquartered,
Okay.
including our fentanyl testing aspect. But
Yeah, and we will get to
so
that.
yeah, and honestly, Pennsylvania, as you mentioned, I mean, well, you're getting to at least is it's extremely liberal in basically our three major cities, maybe four major cities, but Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Erie is more liberal than I thought. I just got done with an event with Scott Pressler up there trying to turn Erie County red, because if Erie goes red, then we guarantee we win Pennsylvania. But it's so hard, and you don't have too many colleges outside of those areas that are extremely liberal. I mean, you do have colleges out through the entire state, but how I became a conservative,
Yeah, tell us.
I don't know. I'm a Christian. I believe in God.
Love it.
I can see, well, thank you. I can see through everything that they're throwing at us. I can see the agenda behind it. And I live by common sense and doing the right thing. So, granted, I'm not going to go out there and hate on liberal beliefs. I'm not going to go out there and completely, chastise somebody for, being homosexual or, identifying as whatever you could possibly identify as now. But it's my right to not get behind that and say, oh, yay, go you. It's more or less that I'm trying to do something for people who, are literally, in my opinion, bettering the world and keeping us, I guess, grounded, so to speak, because the left to me is just, no offense, they're either from another planet, they're completely brainwashed, or, and this is probably what I'm seeing in most of them, is they are just now evil, 100%.
No, I've decided that too.
Well, you're in the medical field, so I consider liberalism a mental disease. So maybe it'll be in the diagnostic manual someday.
I do too. I really do. And you know what? You see this 100% with Trump derangement syndrome. I truly believe that is 100% a mental illness. And it's funny because we can laugh at it, but it's actually really serious.
It really is.
Yeah. And you know what? Depending on the outcome of this election, which I firmly believe Donald Trump has in hand, without fraud. Yes, without fraud, obviously, we have this in the bag. But, either way, I think you're going to see some violence. Now, liberals, they're in drag. They're wearing blue hair. They're out there. They're not soldiers. They're not individuals who have served in the military. Most of them are conservative. And, a lot of them obviously go into law enforcement and things. So we have that as well. I just don't want to see people die in our country needlessly. But I think that's where this mental illness comes down to, is it's going to get that bad.
No, I'm so concerned. And John and I talk about this every week, that this is a very important election, and I'm praying every day. So aren't there like 7 million followers on Wimkin?
Yeah, we're actually up to about 9.5 now.
Oh, my gosh, that's
the sad
awesome.
Part. Well, thank you. Yeah, so to be honest with you, I really believe that is why the app stores came after us and they shut us down. And, the government came so hard. And the server companies we were utilizing came and shut us down. A lot of these people saw what we had, because we are built almost like Facebook. We have almost every single feature, certainly that people need, we have. We have live streaming. You can live stream your entire show to us. It's 100% free. You can live stream your show if it's over 3 hours. It's fine per post.
Nice.
We have voice and video calling that's encrypted. You can chat with somebody in Japan or wherever you want to speak to them from right through our messenger. It's 100% free. You can talk all day long, all day and all night. We have groups, pages, marketplace. We have the largest video uploads anywhere on social media besides, YouTube and things that actually are video upload platforms. We allow 100 gigabytes per post upload. So we had things a lot differently than, the let's just say the X's of the world and those designs, the knockoff platforms like Parler was and everything of that nature. We had features that people could really use and get their information out there. And I think that scared the heck out of them, because when you have all those avenues to disseminate information and you have the ability to attract people with your features, that is really scary to them. And you have to understand too, we were fine when Trump was in office. We literally launched in September of 2020 and we were banned by January 15th of 21. So you could see as soon as that regime changed, we were gone.
So, Jason, you mentioned Parler, and that made national news, about them being deplatformed, not only by Apple, but by Amazon Web Service. I mean, they basically put them out of business. But I was not aware that it extended to, because we didn't really hear about anybody else other than Parler for some reason. But, did you end up moving over to like Rumble and those type platforms in the parallel economy?
No, we so let's be honest here. This is something that not many people know, and they should know. Parler, I don't know if either of you are at your phone, but if you use whatever internet search you use, you could even use Google on this one. Mm-hmm. If you just type in the number 70, the letters TB, unfortunately as in tuberculosis, or in terabyte for what it means in this case. So 70 TB, and then type in Parler. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of a rundown here of why Parler was a honeypot and completely set up against Republicans and conservatives. First and foremost, John Matz, before he founded Parler, he worked at AWS as an executive for 6 years. Okay, remember AWS is the one that deplatformed them. They deplatformed them after, if you guys utilized Parler, which I'm sure a lot of your audience did. If you recall, to use any features on that service, or anything other than just posting and reposting, even to send a private message to somebody, you had to send in your ID. Do you recall that? It was called Parler Citizenship. Wow. So they had about 9 million people's IDs, and they did not ask you to black out information. They wanted a front and back of your ID. That was to be able to utilize their platform essentially in full. Now, moving forward, they attracted everybody. They got big conservatives to come on there. They paid them to come on there and say, hey, join me over here. Let's fight big tech tyranny. Dan Bongino being one of them, which was huge. And I like Dan. I've talked to Dan about this at that point in time, saying, okay, what are you doing? When you got banned from the App Store, you've been saying fight big tech tyranny. That was your whole entire thing to get people to move to Parler, fight big tech tyranny. So if Apple bans you, why are you back in the App Store in 5 days? You did exactly what they asked you to do. So that's bowing to big tech tyranny. So, but even moving forward on this, I'm sure you've already done the search of the 70 terabyte. So it just so happens on January 6th that, everybody who's down at the Capitol, everyone who's posting around the Capitol, inside the Capitol, doing video live streamings from the Capitol, Parler just one day just forgets to do social media 101 and scrubbing their GPS metadata from everybody's posts. So anybody who was posting in and around the Capitol that day, their information was still sitting there for hackers just to come and take. So everybody who was around the Capitol and anybody who posted on Parler that day, their location is known, and it was provided to the federal government by a hacker named, don't even know what it means, but Donk Envy. They talked about this on X, well, now X, which I still can't get used to, but Twitter. And they provided all this to the government. So not only did they have the coordinates of these people that were, orchestrating whatever they felt.
So who was the hacker? Obviously a lib, right?
Donk Envy. It was probably a government employee at this point in time. Okay. But here's the thing. Not only did they have their GPS coordinates that day, they also had their ID, their physical ID. So they had their home and they had their address. It was a complete honeypot, a complete setup, and it was designed to specifically, drive a rift through our party and get people completely hemmed up. Never allow Trump to ever be, elected again. And that's I wish people would know that. Conservatives, when they hear something, they have to realize if it sounds too good to be true, it is. So,
well, I haven't. I just checked. I'm still not on Wimkin, so I keep checking because I want to be on there. How do you control on Wimkin? Because I recently, in the last 3 months, have paid for a check mark, and I'm really excited because I'm almost at 1 million feeds, and I've gotten lots of traction because I respond and fight back, and sometimes I need wine at the end of the Friday because, they'll call you the C word, and I reported somebody that called me the C word. Then somebody wished that I had died of breast cancer. I thought that was really lovely.
Oh my God!
you can say the C word because that one pushed me over the edge. I was like, okay, I'll die, but if you call me the C word, I'm going to report your ass. And so X didn't care. So how do you control all that? I mean, and I'm a big girl. I don't care because obviously the libs, they always, and then they hate my red hair because that's always the first thing. Oh, your red hair. We hate you. And so how do you control this? And like you said, the bots and stuff, like I did feel like the last 2 weeks, finally Elon had cleaned up, because there was like everything I posted, there was always some Russian, beautiful girl wanting to say hi, even to me. And and so that stopped. But then this week it started again with the bots. And so how is it because, you're vetting these people much better than X? I mean, now I'm paying on X, but that got me the traction because I just only became very vocal, like I said, the last 3 months, just because I feel like we have to win this election and we have to push back.
Yes, no, you're 100% right. So first and foremost, let me just address that X aspect. So you don't pay for verification on X; you pay for the blue check mark, plain and simple. Now that right there undermines every single thing of vetting a person. Someone could be out there, and since they paid for, then they could be Veronica, they could be you. So that is not what we're about at Wimkin. We allow anybody who, can be impersonated or can harm others through somebody impersonating them. We do ask them to verify. There's no charge for that. There's no reason to charge for that. It's just that Elon Musk is completely bleeding his own money dry here on this X, and they're losing all their advertisers because for them to hire Linda Yaccarino, who was the NBC Universal's advertising head, she's not liberal, but she understands that you cannot have free speech. So you're going to see a lot of these changes and it get a lot worse. Obviously, everything is going to get worse up into the run of election time. But, how we deal with this is, so I just approved you from my phone. Our technology is very advanced. Literally, I'm on the phone, I'm on speaker, so I hope I sound okay. But I went to our administrative control panel, I found you, and we approved you. So
I'm in. Oh my gosh, with the founder. This is so exciting. Okay, well, I'm excited because that's what I've been excited about with X, is that it's a free speech. And Facebook, for example, I had a Panhandle Loves Trump page since 2015 because I was our chairman when he first ran, and it disappeared in the last couple of months. Gone.
Yeah,
Jason.
that's unfortunate. We might be able to help you with that. By the way,
Jason, one thing I wanted to ask you about: how do you maintain civil discourse? I mean, is that possible with these platforms, or is that just some kind of pipe dream?
So first and foremost, we only censor pornography, nudity, and any post with any type of criminal element. So if there's threats out there saying that I'm going to come hurt you or anything of that nature, people have to be really smart about what they say because we don't give you a second chance. If you're going to break those 3 simple rules, whereas you're posting pornography, you're posting nudity, or you are trying to really get us hurt by trying to sell drugs on our platform, or saying I'm going to go kill you. Those are things that we don't allow people back from. Now, granted, they could sign back up somehow, but we already know how to look for them at that point in time. But as far as civil, Wimkin has, it's really, you'll see, because we allow everyone to see main feed to a certain extent. You don't really even have to create friends on our platform. I would suggest it, but if you're rolling through there right now, you'll probably see about 10 posts in the last minute or whatever it's going to be. But these individuals are very intelligent. These are the ones who've been kicked off of other platforms for just sharing their beliefs and their opinions. And they know how to deal with situations like this. They understand what they have. They understand this is a real free speech platform that, has almost every single feature that Facebook has. This is the best place for them to be. So they don't get out of line, so to speak. They still get to speak their mind, but if they're not threatening harm, a lot of our debates are pretty civil and people learn from each other. And that's kind of what we wanted. We didn't want an echo chamber. So we don't have to do much, John, to be honest with you. That's kind of my best answer to that. The platform polices itself.
Well, it's interesting because that's one thing that just turns me off is, you try to have an honest conversation about something. And even with people you differ about, I'm trying to understand their point of view. And then all of a sudden it just turns into name calling And they can't have an intelligent response. And I respect their response. I mean, their beliefs are their beliefs, but
I'm so
when
excited
it goes into name calling.
Yeah, well, to meet another platform that's free.
Turns me off. Yeah.
That's just. I mean, that's been the turnoff with Facebook. I just feel like, and Instagram too. If you tell, there's been several times like on Instagram, you'll go to write. I'll respond to something that Kamala said, and it's like, I'm watching you, and I feel like it's daddy telling me what to do when I'm 13.
By the way, Jason, Veronica's always chiding me because I don't do social media. I don't have a Facebook page.
Well, you have to.
I don't do Instagram. I don't do any of that crap.
So Jason,
that's what it is to me.
I'm super excited. So I'm going to check out your platform because to meet another founding, freedom of speech person, this is so exciting, and I cannot wait to check it out. But I wanted to ask you because you're just so interesting. Besides the dating app, you are leading the way with, and I don't know why I didn't hear, John and I read news 24/7. We're newsies. And you've got this fentanyl test that's been approved by the FDA. And today was the first time I've heard of this. And why isn't this everywhere? Like when Narcan came out, my children live in New York City. So I was like, oh my gosh, the health person said everybody should be carrying it. So I told my children, I'm like, do you think I need to buy some off Amazon? And they were laughing, of course. But anyways, so how did you come up with this? This is amazing.
So, again, once you see how Wimkin works, we're extremely patriotic, and we don't like what's happening at the border in any way, shape, or form. We also don't like that, the Biden administration's completely turned a blind eye to what's coming across that border. I mean, every single day, there is enough fentanyl that comes across that border that can kill every single American. That's just the honest truth, and they don't do anything about it. You saw the Biden administration try to stop Texas from doing something about it on their own.
Oh, my gosh.
And so, we've been working on this test for 16 months. It's something that, we just got approval on in March. So that's probably why, the FDA, they do put out like blurbs and bulletins, but we didn't do anything yet. We're just now starting to put that out there, with show hosts, with conservative influencers. Actually, Lara Logan is a part of our team, and she's just doing posts about it today, believe it or not. And but here's really the reason behind it is we actually 100% can save lives. So first and foremost, you would think what our test does, it's so scientifically advanced. It's the first dip card where you can actually test an individual. If they're sick, that substance is going to show in their body within usually 30 minutes to 1 hour. So you would know if they have, fentanyl poisoning. If they're at the hospital, they can find that. They can easily find that. If you suspect your child is, utilizing something, or maybe, again, if your child touches the surface, or they get sick or something, and you can't figure out why, you have the ability to go and test that situation with, this urine test. And you'll have those results back in 5 minutes with over 99% accuracy. And we test all the way down to the lowest amount possible, which is even better than labs on our 5-minute, dip card test. It's to 1 nanogram, meaning so in, let's say, one milliliter of water, if you can think about that, or basically even in a shot glass, if you really want to put it into since you talked about whiskey, yeah, shot glass is perfect. But, so yes. But if you think about that, a grain of salt being dropped in there, our test will show that is positive for it. And in addition to that, we also offer harm reduction. Harm reduction is where individuals, if something's on the ground, if something's on a surface, if, law enforcement is searching something and they find powder, they find a gel, they find a paste, or even liquid, you can insert our harm reduction dip card test, which also tests all the way down to that 1 grain of sand/salt. And it will show positive for fentanyl and any derivative of fentanyl if it's on that substance. That includes, we don't want to advocate for drug users in any way, shape, or form. We don't want to say, hey, use drugs safely by using, testing it. Not what we're out to do. Let's be honest here. But
it's so scary right now,
Right.
and that's the sad part is a 13-year-old is dumb that thinks he's buying Oxy off of, one of his platforms. And
very true.
And so I'm just shocked that this isn't, there was the push for Narcan, but yeah, this is so important that, wow. And you can buy it. And it's not that expensive from what I saw. It was like $25 for a testing kit. So that's incredible.
Yeah. So actually, we're actually working with Lost Voices of Fentanyl. These are individuals and parents that lost their children due to a fentanyl poisoning. They are actually trying to get people to stop utilizing overdoses in the media and such, because a person who doesn't know they're utilizing fentanyl is not overdosing from it. They're being poisoned or murdered. And so that's very powerful. So every single test right now that we are actually putting out there, we're going to donate a percentage of the proceeds to the Lost Voices of Fentanyl, which is, in our opinion, the greatest group out there. Thank you. And also because, the border ties into the border, and obviously the alleged insurrection we believe is a complete and utter crock. Yeah. And we have our true patriot brothers and sisters sitting in prison while their families are breaking up and, struggling because they can't work. We also are donating a portion of every single sale to, families as well as prisoners of J6 sitting in the gulag here.
Love it. We've talked about that, and we've had an author on that's written a book and been in contact with all of those prisoners. And I can't believe it's been 3 years, honestly. It's just rough. Well, you are just like the total package, Jason. I'm adopting you. Oh my gosh. But this is just, why do you think people aren't talking about this test as much? Because, I have to say, everyone I know knows somebody that has died. I had a major I work with that OD'd, that apparently had a drug problem and died. And so it's especially you think in the military, people are drug tested. We don't have that, but it's happening everywhere.
Yes, you are 100% right. So the reason why you haven't heard about it yet is because I just started putting it out there on Friday.
Oh, wow.
We had to get enough tests mass produced. And, it takes some time for logistics. But, you said a great point there. So my first interview on this subject was out in Oregon, a very liberal, obviously, state. And, it's a very, he's a centrist but common sense guy to understand that, fentanyl is a major problem, especially in Portland. It's very bad there. It's really bad everywhere, let's be honest. But in Portland, it's even elevated. So, but he told me that there's a marquee case up there where a nurse who was stealing her hospital supply of fentanyl and replacing it with tap water. That tap water, when it was injected into patients' arms and things of that nature, and into IVs and such, made them very sick. So first and foremost, it's as of right now, it's just a civil aspect. But for her, for taking this fentanyl, it's believed that she was potentially even having a shooting gallery to where she was like regulating fentanyl for people. And let's just state if this hospital, when they found out specifically when they noticed the first vial of fentanyl liquid missing, they could have, because state boards allow it. If you're a licensed physician or a licensed, nurse of any kind, or a medical professional, they have, where you work, that your workplace has the right to test you for any substance they want. So granted, there's no tests out there unless you send it off to a lab for fentanyl that you can actually utilize in court. So if they had ours, we sell them in boxes of 25.
Yeah, I saw that.
For $125, your whole entire staff, well, let's not say your whole entire staff, but anybody maybe on that ward or anybody who works in that area or has access to that, you could test them. And then you could easily, once you see that person is positive, you've solved your crime.
Right.
You've saved lives. So, we're pushing for that. We're pushing to get into, obviously, every single law enforcement agency in the country. We want to get with probation officers and parole officers because, these addicts are very intelligent when it comes to their addiction. They know they're not getting tested for fentanyl. They know they can't use heroin anymore. So they'll go find fentanyl.
And I worked with one. He was functioning like you can't even imagine. So when he croaked out, when you start to reflect back, you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe. But he was a functioning addict, obviously. So it would have been nice to, if somebody knew in the chain to have something like that. Oh, my goodness.
Jason, you mentioned that people could get this for home, for for their test their children and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
What's the distribution of this? I mean, you can maybe go down to CVS or Walgreens or whatever and buy this Walmart, or something you got to order it direct?
So the reason why I know people, it's so funny. Well, actually, it's not funny. This is where we stand in America right now. But, when we say the term FDA approval, when we, advertise the FDA approval, people are like, we don't want it because it's FDA approved. I'm like, first and foremost, this is a test. It's not a drug. It's not the FDA's product. We wanted to get FDA approval because that means we're allowed to go into stores. We're allowed to get it over the counter. Most people aren't going to find us online. They're going to find us in the stores, and that's where they need them. They need these tests. So they're going to find them there. So, yes, we have meetings with Walgreens, Walmart, as well as Rite Aid coming up here shortly. And for anybody listening and anybody who wants to actually go out and, help themselves and, if they're law enforcement or they're anything that want to actually test these tests out, over-the-counter tests are just $19.99. You get the specimen cup, you get everything. Now, you would think of, with our technology and the FDA approval, because that is not cheap to fight and get your, I think the compliance and everything that goes along with that is pretty insanely expensive. But we're selling these just for $19.99, and then we actually have the harm reduction tests. They start at $25 for 5 tests, so those are only $5 a test. So we're not out to get rich on this. We're out to save lives, and I think that shows in our pricing. But, you can you'll be able to start getting it there, but you can also go to thefentanyltest.com and place an order for whatever you would want. That we're not up any prices, and I don't know what they're going to do at the store level. They're probably going to be way more expensive than we are, but that's something we really can't control.
Well, one thing, Jason, that you have on that website, because I've been talking about it for a while, we know 100,000 people die every year. And on your website, you're teasing that it's, sadly, this year is probably going to be 200 to 250,000 people that die.
Yep.
And we go to war. John and I are military people. We've gone to war and everything. And this is war and people don't realize it. Yeah. And then a lot, I'm just always sad because I've seen all these parents doing the interviews, when the 13-year-old takes an oxy, they think it's an oxy and then it's fentanyl and it's in the candy and they're so dumb at that age. The adults I don't give as much of a pass to, but young teens I kind of do because they're so dumb these days. People don't realize that number, Jason.
No, they don't realize that number, and they also don't realize we actually have under our section on the website, under the epidemic, we do pretty much try to drive those points home to what's actually happening. We have pictures of an actual drug bust to where, they had fentanyl mixed in with candy that could have gotten to children's. We have one with a Halloween bag as well that was found.
That's insane.
That's happening. That's happening 100%. We also put in, the prison system has seen an 850%, uprise in actual overdoses in there because they are utilizing it there. And they're not testing for it because, again, they have to charge the taxpayers $80 to $300, depending on their contract, to send those out to a lab. And
this is so reasonable. This is so reasonable.
Yeah.
So do you have a patent on this? You have a patent so nobody can steal this idea?
Yep, we do. Well, we want people to steal the idea. Let's be honest. We want to get this out there in every place we possibly can. They're more than welcome to try to do better than we are, and we encourage them to. I mean, we want this to stop, and that's really the best way to go about it. That's why we price it so cheap. I mean, you literally can test 25 individuals where it would have cost well over $5,000 at least to do that from a prison standpoint. Actually, it would have cost closer to $20,000. And if you tested, individuals on a whole, let's say, if you have 50 prisoners that you want to test, which is probably the average on a daily basis of what you get the random drug testing, they're not testing for fentanyl because, again, it's that $80 to $300 to send it out to that lab for that lab.
This is incredible.
And now you can test each prisoner for $5 and have the result in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, well, I want to go back to something fun, back to the date on the right, sure. In case I'm ever single. And I already sent it to two youngins already, saying you need to get on this website. So how many people are on there? See, I'm already promoting you, Jason, because I prefer that.
we'll have to do this, and we'll have to work on the fentanyl test too, because we can actually help you and get you actually some dollars in your pocket for helping us push this test. Again, it's not about making money for us; it's about getting it out there. But as far as date on the right now, we had about 96,000 pre-registrations. Because
oh my gosh, a lot of bachelors potential there.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's almost 50-50. There are more men, but it's not even close to 60-40. I think it's about 53-47.
I'm dying to make a fake little, just to see who's out there. I want to do swipe. Yeah. I don't even know how these things work. Yeah. The old days we called people.
Yes, or met them out, and actually had a conversation. But to be quite honest with you, we just got on Google Play, but I added a date planner there that I want to get active before we really push that app because, people, when they're talking, down to their location, they could both go on one screen and say, oh, cool, we have a directory of, basically about 10 different types of dates you could go on. Oh. And then we have, businesses based on location that are there, and then they can agree on a date, right then and there too. But, our dating app it's more advanced than Bumble. It's more advanced than Tinder. First and foremost, for safety, we have everybody mandatorily, they have to verify.
I love that.
Yep. You can't get catfished. Our facial recognition software, we're not doing anything with it. It's immediately deleted, but it's scanning your face to what your profile picture is. So do they
pay a fee to be on it? You do educate the older crowd here.
No. So everybody can use it free for a certain amount of, swipes every single day. So, and then also we have voice and video calling, because there's no better way to tell who you're meeting is if you talk to them on video chat. So right through our app, you can actually call people, or, you could do a video chat with them to where you can see that, hey, this is really that person. And these individuals can talk for, as long as they want until they get, they finally get that urge to meet. So, we want to make it 100% safe. We don't want to be out there being the Bumbles and Tinders where people are getting, hurt, assaulted, worse.
Well, I think, though, Jason, a lot of the younger people I know don't even want to use those apps because they're too scared.
Yep.
So I have to say the Gen Zers I know don't even want to use those. So,
one thing you mentioned, Jason, was facial recognition. And I found this out, obviously on the internet, YouTube, that kind of stuff. But apparently people use the camera enhancements to make themselves look, a whole lot better. Or
it's called airbrushing. It's called airbrushing, John.
Okay. I'm 69, Jason, so I just take a picture, and it is what it is, okay?
You can go on an instant diet with an airbrush.
Right. So does your facial recognition software detect that kind of stuff? I mean, to me, it's kind of like false advertising is the way I look at it.
You're 100% right. And we actually just I design and develop apps for others and things of that nature, and websites too. But so we actually just designed one for somebody that they have to put a timestamp photo on there to show that this is them now. But no, ours doesn't do that because, realistically, I think most conservatives already know what's going to be Photoshopped and what isn't. You can tell these filters look absolutely insane. So,
I really do have red hair, though.
Well, I mean, when it comes, but we're talking about like the ultra smooth skin and the eyes and everything that they, they're going to know. This is an intelligent group of individuals, and you're not going to see a lot of those filtered pictures. I mean, you might. That's absolutely fine if they're there. But, everyone's used to it from social media anyways. But it's actually kind of funny. I saw a really funny meme a long time ago about, stop using filters because, we're not going to be able to find you if you ever get reported missing. It's actually true. Some of them are so far-fetched that, we don't want to make it any more invasive for anybody to utilize that. If they're not confident in their appearance or anything, that'll come out with them speaking.
Well, is there an age that you're seeing that's going to your app?
You know what? It's actually probably, let's say, 23 to 40 mostly, and there's a lot of actually over 50s as well, because
well, that's good to know.
Their loved ones. Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's a whole version of people, and I think every single one of them is just fed up with the way the world is right now and how liberals act.
Well, I don't. Well,
that's true. It's like, where do
you want to be with people that are like-minded.
What do you do for dating these days? If you don't want to do the bar scene, it's like, okay, what does that leave? Not a whole lot, because we've kind of
Yeah,
shut down
honestly,
so much social interaction.
Yeah, I mean, again, and you're told to hate each other. It's programmed in you with the news you're watching and everything else you're seeing on a daily basis. So, if you're smart enough and not woke but awake enough to notice that and to get through that, then this is an app definitely for you, and you will find somebody. There's no doubt about that.
So Jason, we've been talking to you. I could talk to you for hours. Obviously, I'm ready to adopt you. But what drives you? You've got this Wimkin that's got 9 million plus one now because you authorized me. I'll be playing with that tonight. And then you're saving the world, which is really the most incredible thing that you're doing with the fentanyl test. And then you're trying to help get, because we've had the Catholic kicker that I actually bought his jersey. I hope it arrives tomorrow, that because he likes his wife and she's raising his children, that is a horrible thing. And you've got this amazing dating app. I mean, what drives you? Do you sleep at night? Are you like Trump doing 4 hours of sleep and then you're trying to save the world every other minute?
It's actually funny. 4 hours is usually what I get. So,
nice to meet you. Me too. Must be the type A's.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. It's usually about 16 to 18-hour work days. There's no doubt about that. If you want to make it in this industry, you really have to.
Yep.
Now, I should have been able to lay off of Wimkin, but, when we were banned by the app stores, they took our entire ability to monetize. And we still, to this date, cannot utilize big tech advertising because, they blamed us insurrectionists. They called me, racist, bigots. Sorry, I don't even know. Bigotry, I don't know what they called me. My favorite was domestic terrorist, though. That one will always make me laugh. But realistically, we would have been able to be making a lot of money on Wimkin at this point in time, but they've made that impossible. So it causes us to work. I mean, we voted to stay private because we had interest of buying us and taking us public, and we didn't want that. And
well, I saw you on your site. I saw on X that people can buy shares to be part of of your family. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, they certainly can. We applied for the SEC. We want everything to be on the up and up, even though you don't have to have regulation on private shares. But we wanted to do everything, right, because we really feel like we're going to be the last platform standing that actually offers free speech because we've weathered everything they've thrown at us at this point. Knock on wood. I'm going to knock on wood here because that's what we do in Pennsylvania. But, realistically, it's something that you never know what they're going to throw at you next. Now, I'm really hopeful and, that nothing happens to us in the next 5 months. That this is going to be the most desperation you've ever seen. You're seeing that in every single indictment they throw at Trump.
Right.
The absurdity of each one of them. So, this is probably going to be one of the most dangerous times in our history. And if you're on the wrong side of what they are, which we definitely are, you never know what they're going to do. So, but
it's scary. It's scary to be vocal, and especially if you don't have the Trump bank account.
Well, and then they're going to, they'll stick the IRS on you, to audit you to, the cows come home. And
I've had all my accounts a couple weeks ago, like every single one. Somebody tried to get into, and they got into my husband's and my daughter's. I'm like, what is going on? It's because I think everybody blames me for being vocal,
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I got blamed for my mother's stroke once we had by my own family. I mean, this is how it happened. This is why I said date on the right is so important. But when it came across their phones that we were banned, Wimkin was banned because we were supporting insurrectionists and terrorists. Mm-hmm. My mom had a stroke not too long after that, and I got blamed for that. So it's crazy. Well, thank you. It's absolutely insane what this world has become, and we're trying to make our dent any way we can. And, talking about the shares aspect, why we wanted to stay private, too, is because we're, again, on the wrong side of whatever you want to call elitists, if you even want to use that term. But if you look at the rumbles, it's almost all dark money now. Rockefellers, Vanguards, everybody's buying this up. BlackRock has a ton. This is something that those are the people you don't want having control of your free speech, that's for sure.
Right. Well, do you have like a motto or a leadership style that drives you?
God. I mean, I don't think you would have been able to, honestly, I don't think I would have been able to do any of this without him. I don't think I would have had any interest to do this without him. But once you're attacked so much, you have to stand back and certainly question, why am I doing this to myself? And then you realize, hey, he'll let you bend, but he won't let you break. And, I've gotten to that breaking point a lot, and I found my strength through him, and this is why we push and we try to make everything that we do to better the world.
Wow.
That's an interesting point, Jason, because God's the one thing they can't take away from you.
They're trying.
They can do everything else they want. No, they can try till the end of time. They can try, but they can't. If you believe, they can't take it away from you. And
they are still trying.
There's so much comfort in that, and people don't seem to get that,
Well,
that's because they're removing him from everywhere they possibly can at this point in time.
Yeah. Did we miss anything, Jason? You've got to come back and talk. And then maybe I'll have all those ladies on the Dating on the Right site. I will be pushing that the rest of the week.
No problem. Yeah, they can pre-register right now, and we'll send them an email when we're launched. But, I don't think there's anything. I really appreciate you guys having me on. We hope we can save some lives. We hope some of your individuals will buy up some fentanyl tests and, keep their families and where they work. And, if they employ anyone, keep them all safe. And let's just obviously everybody stay vigilant for the next 5 months, and obviously ever, but even more so for the next 5 months while we, come into this election, because it is going to be the most dangerous time, I believe, in the United States for a very, very long time.
Well, we've been talking to Jason Sheppard. He's the founder of Wimkin Social, and now I'm the 9,000,001 person to join. And then
I may even consider my social media ban.
Well, yeah, because
and maybe sign up for Wimkin,
because John always gets those bots that all want to be his friend. And then
pictures,
you're the driving founder of the fentanyl dip test, so we want people to go find that because that will save lives. And then my favorite, Dating on the Right. So we'll have to have you back. And thanks for coming on Veronica Live, Jason.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me, guys. God bless, and take care of yourselves.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Have a great day.